Good afternoon. So if you are tuning in here, you have found the correct spot for online summer health economics. My name is Lindsay Woodworth, and I'm going to be your instructor this semester. Um, the class we're taking this semester, you're taking this semester, it's going to be formatted in a slightly different way than you may have taken other online classes. And so what I wanted to do today is just to walk you through the format of the class. You'll understand how things are going to work. So I'm going to kind of quickly explain to you how this summer is going to go, and then I'll go through the syllabus. So if you are here, obviously you have realized that we're not going to be doing the class on Blackboard in a Zoom-like fashion. If you're anything like me, you're quite tired of Zoom and seeing your own little picture in the corner. It's quite distracting. So for this class, there's going to be no Zoom-like kind of presentation. Instead, what's going to happen is the class is going to air live on YouTube each class day. So just navigate to this YouTube channel, and there will be a video that's going to premiere at 3:35. So watch the video. It is very important that you actually watch the class in live time. The reason for that is because during every class, I'm going to assign an exercise, and you're going to need to complete the exercise and submit an answer during the class time. So if you try to go back and watch the video at 10 o'clock at night, you're going to miss the window of time in which you can submit the exercise. So the way this is going to work, so again, you log on to YouTube at 3:35, watch the video. What you need to bring with you when you're watching the video are the class notes. So if you go to Blackboard, there's a document, it's called Class Notes. You need to print that off and have it with you along with a pencil and some scratch paper. And then the class is going to be more of a podcast type flavor than a lecture. So the audio component of the class is going to be like very important, and the visual is going to be less so important. I'll put some kind of equations and graphics on the screen. But what you need to do is follow along in the class notes with the video, and there's going to be blanks in the class notes for you to fill in as you're listening along. And the notes are intended to serve you so that you can pay attention, and that you also have a document to go back and study for the exams. So the video, the kind of the podcast type video that's going to be presented each class is going to last approximately 20 minutes or so. So again, listen along for 20 minutes, fill in the blanks in the class notes as you're listening. And then at the end of my spiel, I'm going to have a 10-minute intermission that's built into the video. And during that intermission, you are free to type any questions that you have for me in the chat pane. I'm going to be logging in just like you. So submit your questions on the chat pane in YouTube, and I will respond back to you as I get the questions. After the 10-minute intermission, the assignment or the exercise for the class is going to be presented at the very end. So after the intermission, I will give you an assignment effectively. I'll say, do this. And then what you need to do is you need to spend the duration of the class period, which goes until 4:40, completing the exercise and submitting your answer to Blackboard. So every day there's going to be an exercise that pops up on Blackboard towards the end of the lecture period. I'll explain what the exercise is in the YouTube video, but you need to complete the exercise and you need to submit your responses by 4:40. The exercises are just going to be graded for completion, so I'm not going to knock points if you give me an incorrect answer so long as you put forth effort. The important thing is that you actually submit it on time to show that you're participating in the class. And if you don't submit it by 4:40, you're not going to get credit for the day. So make sure that you're respecting that hard deadline, because you don't get credit if you submit stuff after 4:40. One thing, trying to think through extra things I need to tell you. One limitation of Blackboard when you're submitting your exercises, and I've gone back and forth with the Blackboard technology people about this, is that as soon as you hit submit, it's going to auto-populate a score of 0 in the Blackboard gradebook. If you hit submit and you see the 0 that instantaneously appears in the gradebook, don't panic. There's no way I can kind of get around that in Blackboard. So what I'm going to have to do after the fact is go in and manually override each of the zeros to give you credit for the day. So just hang tight if you see the 0. It will eventually get manually overwritten by me. But you just need to make sure you're submitting your answers by 4:40. With that, I'm going to just run through the syllabus. I'll just go page by page. So if you'd like to pull this up, you're welcome to read along with me, and we'll kind of make sure we're tackling all the other important components that we haven't got to so far. Okay, so page 1 of the syllabus. In the top section, we have class information, which you should be familiar with. This class is going to meet on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 3:35. So that's exactly when the video is going to start playing. And it's going to run, the class is going to run through 4:40. So I'll make sure that all activities are wrapped up by 4:40 to respect your time. Location, this is an online class. So you do not need to physically be in Columbia to be taking this class. It's all going to be online. The class, again, it's going to be presented through YouTube in terms of the lecture portion of it. And the hyperlink to the course channel is posted to Blackboard. So just click the link if you're here, you found the link. But that's how we're going to do that. Again, my name is Lindsay Woodworth. My email address is on the syllabus. The best way to get in touch with me this semester, if you need to communicate, is through email. So don't worry about sending Blackboard messages. Just shoot me a direct email. And since we are all online, I'm not going to have official office hours, but I'm still happy to meet with you. So if you do want to communicate about anything, again, send me an email. Just say I would like to chat, and I'll kind of by appointment set up meetings with you. The instruction overview. So I'm just going to read this to you from the syllabus to make sure you've got it, but I've explained a lot of this already. So this is a synchronous course. So it is expected that you tune in to lectures during the scheduled class time. The lectures will air on YouTube, and again, you can see Blackboard for the link to the lectures. The material, again, it's going to be presented in a semi-podcast fashion. So that means that the audio component is going to be much heavier than the visual component. What you need to do is you need to go to Blackboard and you need to print off the class notes that have they're basically the podcast notes, and those have blanks for you to fill in. So again, as you listen along, make sure you fill in the blanks for studying purposes. You will not be required to turn in the notes, but the notes will be helpful for you as you study and try to prepare for the exams. And again, I'm just reading off the syllabus, and I've already told you this, but following the presentation material each class, there will be a 10-minute question intermission. During this time, you can submit your questions on the YouTube chat pane, and I will be available to provide live responses. Following the question intermission, the lecture will resume for an exercise period. During the exercise period, you'll be required to complete a task and submit a response before the end of the scheduled class time that day, which is a hard deadline. It's going to be 4:40 each day. And that will count for your participation score. Very bottom of the first page, the required text. So there is a textbook for this class. The name of the textbook is Health Economics. It's the book that's by Bhattacharya, Hyde, and Tu. I have a classroom set. So again, if you happen to be in Columbia and you want to stop by my office and just check out a textbook for free, you're welcome to. If you're not in Columbia, then you're kind of on the hook for getting the textbook on your own. I'm not going to be assigning exercises out of the textbook, but I am going to have readings for you to do. So since this is an online class, it's going to be kind of on you to do extra just work to learn the material. And so I'm going to assign for each class kind of the sections of the chapters that you need to read, just for extra supplementation of what you get on YouTube. And with that, I'm going to turn the page to go to the next page of the syllabus. Okay, course description. This course is intended to provide you, the student, with an overview of the market for healthcare, including the factors that distinguish this particular market from many of the other markets that are studied in economics. Using the information that's presented in this class, the economic theories will be applied to the healthcare framework to analyze how healthcare is supplied, how insurance markets work, and how policy interventions might be expected to impact the delivery of healthcare. Additionally, the institutional features of the health systems used in different parts of the world will be discussed and compared. So the learning objectives for this class are fourfold. The first objective is that you will understand how and why healthcare markets are distinct from most other markets. Number 2, you'll understand the particular challenges that confront making health insurance markets sustainable. Number 3, you'll understand the institutional features of the U.S. healthcare system. And then the last objective is that you'll be able to compare and contrast health systems that are used in different parts of the world. And now the part everyone is most interested in, so the assignments and exams. So in this class, participation is going to count for 20% of your course grade, and your participation is going to be recorded based on your completion of the in-class exercises. So towards the end of each class, again, there'll be an exercise you need to complete. You must complete the exercise and submit a response to Blackboard before the end of the scheduled class time that day. If you submit a response on time, you'll earn the participation point for the day. Again, the exercises are not going to be graded for accuracy, just completion. And then throughout the course this semester, you'll get 3 freebies. So if you need to miss a class or 2, you have up to kind of 3 opportunities to do so without penalty. And then after the first 3 freebies, lack of participation will start counting against you. And again, I'm going to just emphasize this once more. When you complete the exercises at the end of the day and you hit submit, it's going to auto-populate as a 0 in the grade book, but hang tight because I'll go in and override that. But it's kind of jarring to the system to instantaneously see a 0 after you hit submit. The exams are in total going to count for 60% of your course grade. There will be 3 exams that are administered, and the last page, or towards the end of the syllabus, I'm going to have the exact date, so I'll highlight those when we get there. The exams will not be cumulative, so each exam is just going to cover information that we have gone through since the previous exam. Each exam will be weighted equally, so each of the 3 exams will count for 20% of your overall course score. And in place of a final exam, you will be asked to complete a project. So there will be no final. There will be 3 midterms and 1 final project. If for any reason you're unable to attend one of the exams, I need to know in advance, and requests to retake an exam will only be considered in extreme circumstances and at my discretion. So please make sure you're marking your calendar once we get to the exam dates to make sure that you are available on those dates. The final project, it's going to count for the remaining 20% of your course grade. And again, it's in place of a final exam. And once we get towards the end of the summer, I'll give you more details on the final project. And you can go ahead and flip to the next page of the syllabus. Okay, the first section here is only going to apply to you if you are taking this class for master's credit, which most of you are not. So if you are taking this class for master's credit, then you're going to need to complete an extra assignment. If you're in this boat, let me know and reach out to me individually, and we'll get that kind of squared away. Briefly, your assignment is going to be to look up a current event and figure out how it ties into the class and write a paper on that. Again, this does not apply to most of you, so if you are taking this class for master's credit, please reach out and we can kind of iron out the details. The grading for the class is going to be quite standard. So anything above a 90 is an A, above an 87 is a B+, above 80 is a B, and so forth. These thresholds represent hard cuts, so you should not anticipate rounding. Once we get to the end of the semester, I'll see about a curve, but up front, I would say don't anticipate a curve. Just use this rubric as kind of the strict grading criteria. And the last section on this page is special accommodations. So if you need any accommodations for a disability or for another reason, please let me know as soon as you can. I'm happy to make arrangements. And if you have not registered with the Student Disability Center, please do so. I get from the Student Disability Center an automated email at the beginning of the semester that kind of tells me generally what accommodations are needed. But if you do need the accommodations, please reach out to me directly. So send me an email and we can kind of figure out exactly what to do to accommodate you for the class. And we can go ahead and flip the page to the next page of the syllabus. The next section is additional mental health resources. The University of South Carolina has a bunch of resources available to you, so I'm just going to highlight the link to those resources. If you are in need of counseling or anything else during the summer or upcoming semesters, please click the link, and there are a lot of things that are available to help you at USC. The middle section is an important one. So this is academic honesty. The elephant in the room is that this is an online class. So there are opportunities to cheat if you decide to go down that path. I am going to emphasize that I have very little tolerance for academic dishonesty. And so my policy is that if I catch you cheating, it will be a 0. At this point in your academic career, you should know what cheating looks like. During exams, you are not permitted to consult resources outside of those that are listed on the instructions. Everything that you turn in for your exercises needs to be your own work and not somebody else's work. And so make sure that aside from the grade penalty, you're motivated to not kind of compromise your integrity in this class. And again, if I catch you doing it, there's going to be some pretty heavy repercussions for you. The last section of this page of the syllabus are things related to the online version of this class. The first thing is the time zone. So regardless of where you are located in the world, this class is going to have all activities administered between 3:35 p.m. Eastern Time and 4:40 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure that you readjust your clock if you're somewhere else outside of Eastern Time Zone. Before the first class, which is the first real class is gonna be tomorrow, what you need to do is you need to download Respondus Lockdown Browser and Respondus Monitor. These are available for you in Blackboard. You've likely already downloaded these for other classes, but if you have not, make sure that you download both of those as soon as possible because they will be used on the exams. And then the final paragraph is related to copyright material. Since this is an online class, it's very important that you be mindful that the material that's presented on YouTube or any exercises on Blackboard, they may be subject to copyright. And so you are not permitted to distribute any of the course materials outside of the confines of this class. And there are potentially legal ramifications if you do. So make sure that anything that is presented here kind of stays in this setting. The next page of the syllabus is the course outline. I'm just going to note here that I'm not going to be going through every chapter in the textbook. So the chapters that I will be covering are included on this page. So you can refer back to this in your time if you need to kind of check which chapters we're going through. And the next part of the syllabus is one that I would highly recommend that you print off and get a physical copy of it so you can kind of just track the class meeting times. So I've got a calendar here. The yellow boxes indicate class meeting time. So these are days when a YouTube lecture will air. A couple of important things to note. So this class is synchronous. There's one date, however, in which the class will be asynchronous. So on that date, just watch the video whenever you want to. And that date is Tuesday, June 10th. So other than that date, just anticipate you need to tune in at 3:35. The exam dates are also listed on this page. So exam 1 is going to be 2 weeks from today. It is on Monday, June 16th, and the exam will be administered during the class time. So you don't need to block off extra time in your schedule. It's going to be administered from 3:35 to 4:40. Exam 2 is going to be 2 weeks after that. So that will be Monday, June 30th. And exam 3 is going to be 2 weeks after that. And that's going to be Monday, July 14th. On the calendar, I have a few X's. X's are days when the class is scheduled to meet on the university calendar, but I'm going to give you a break. So every time we have an exam, the day after the exam, I'm just going to let you have a break so you can kind of catch a breather. So there'll be no class meeting on June 17th, July 1st, and July 15th. And then the other two classes, or the other 2 days in which we're not going to have a class meeting time, are July 28th and 29th. So these are the last 2 dates on the academic calendar. The reason for that is because during that last week of class, I'm going to give you kind of dedicated time to work on the final project. So the last week of July, there's going to be no kind of class. There's going to be no YouTube that's going to air. Again, the final project is going to take the place of the final exam, and the final project is going to be due on August 2nd. That's a Saturday. And it's going to be due by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's going to, again, be a hard deadline that you need to submit the final project by. Okay, flip the syllabus page one more time. The very end of the syllabus, I have made a list of the tasks you're going to have to complete this semester. So this is another instance when having a physical copy would be helpful for you. So each day I've listed exactly what you need to complete that date. So for instance, today, June 2nd, all you need to do is listen to the lesson. After this class finishes, you can check that box. Next class which is tomorrow, June 3rd, what you need to do in preparation for the class is you need to read chapter 1 of the textbook. Then at 3:35, you need to listen to the lesson and fill out the class notes as you're listening along. And then you also need to submit the exercise that will be assigned during the YouTube video before the end of class tomorrow at 4:40. And so I have a checkbox for each task that you need to complete each day that we're meeting. So again, it'd be very helpful if you printed this out and kind of follow along to make sure you're completing all the things that you need to complete for this class. And that is the end of the syllabus. So I'm just going to really recap the important things that you need to do imminently and what you need to do in preparation for next class. So the things that are important for you to do. So first thing is you need to print out the class notes document if you have not already done so. That is posted to Blackboard. Make sure that you have that with you by tomorrow. You also need to make sure you have downloaded Respondus on Blackboard if you have not already done so. And then the third thing that's imminent for you to get done is if you need an accommodation for any reason, please email me directly. And my email address, again, it's on the syllabus. It's lindsay.woodworth@moore.sc.edu. So this is going to be it for today. I don't have any exercise for you to complete today. It's first kind of introduction, little blurb. What you need to do for tomorrow is come back to the same place, be ready by 3:35, and bring 3 things with you. So bring your class notes that you've printed, bring a pencil, also bring scratch paper. Scratch paper may not be super helpful tomorrow, but it will be in subsequent classes. The reason for that is the exercises are sometimes going to require you to do some work. So you're going to need a piece of paper to do the work before you submit the exercise. The only other thing I'll note, I'm talking real fast, I'm trying to get through this quickly. The only other thing I'll note is this kind of class packet that I made was made a couple years ago. And so if you ever in the lecture hear a reference to something that sounds like it was happening in the past, like COVID era, that's because the recordings happened a few years ago. But otherwise, things should be all evergreen and relevant for today. So if you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out. We're going to stop here. Again, nothing to complete today other than the to-do list, and I will see you back here tomorrow.